Rick said at the time the running back is, quote unquote, definitely growing up. Little did Mark Rick know he actually wasn't growing up and he was still doing some things he shouldn't have been doing. Everybody's like, well, dang, just like that, and our star running back, he's off the team? Here's where things get really interesting though. According to Isaiah himself, that wasn't his gun and he doesn't know who owned the gun or how it got in his car. Over 10 plus years ago in the class of 2011, there was a running back who was terrorizing, and I mean absolutely terrorizing high school defenses everywhere. He couldn't be stopped, and for that reason alone, he was ranked a 5-star recruit, had a 99 out of 100 overall scout grade, and was regarded as the #1 running back in the nation. We're not talking about top 10, top 5, top 3, top 2, no. He was the best there was. He was supposed to be the next big thing, a household name all over the country. However, that didn't happen. Within his first year playing college football, he got arrested and kicked off of his team. This turned his world upside down. He went from the #1 running back in the nation, a for sure lock to get to the NFL and make millions of dollars, to now a guy who's been kicked off of his collegiate team and nobody wants him because of all the red flags and concerns. You hear people say your life can change just like that within the snap of a finger, but for this young man, he was a prime example of it. But what if I were to tell you this same guy somehow, someway revived not only his career, but his life? What he did is interesting in its own right, but to me, what's really intriguing and what's extremely captivating to myself is how he handled everything. I've never seen anything quite like it. There's many questions people have been asking about this guy even till this day. But however, it all circles back to the one, and I mean the one big question we're going to try to get to the bottom of it in today's video. What really happened to Isaiah Crowell? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you are having a great and fantastic day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And major shout out to Christopher Woods. He writes, love the videos, Matt. Thank you for those kind of words, by the way. Isaiah Crowell, former #1 overall running back, would make for a good one, and here we are. As most of you know, your boy Matt is a fan of the people, and I want to give the people what they want. If you have any recommendations for future story videos like this one, leave a comment or recommendation down below, and who knows, we may make that video. Per usual, I'm extremely excited to get into this video, and I'll give you guys a little teaser. We've never had a video like this before on the channel. Just everything that unfolds, you gotta see it. I don't want to spoil it for y'all, but I think a lot of you are gonna be shocked at how things turn out at the end. If you do like videos like this, college football related, sports in general, I think you'd have a great time at our channel. Consider joining our community. If you don't want to, that is cool too. I've jibber jabber enough. Strap in, buckle up, get your snack, get your popcorn, get your favorite meal you like to even watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing. But alright, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Woo! Man, oh man, we got good old Isaiah Crowell. Come on, man. You already know, to get into his story, we got to throw it all the way back to where things started. Isaiah played his high school football for Carver High School, which is located in Columbus, Georgia, in which we already talked about. He was an absolute star, to say the least. The dude was a monster, and throughout his entire career, he had 4,872 rushing yards with 61 touchdowns. Not too shabby. I try to keep the high school parts of these videos short and simple because it's the same thing for every one of these 3, 4, and 5-star recruits. They dominated, you get the point. When it was all said and done for his high school career, he had a 5-star ranking, a 99 overall scout grade, ranked as the #1 running back in the nation, and the 14th best overall prospect in the nation. His recruitment process? Relatively simple. Played his high school football in the state of Georgia, and he committed and signed with Georgia. And even though he was a highly touted recruit, you still expect for a true freshman for it to take him at least a year or two before he sees some meaningful playing time. Especially at a school like Georgia, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, he got to play and start as a true freshman. Heading into that season, one of Georgia running backs that goes by the name of Ely, he wound up transferring to Jacksonville State. To go on top of that, a different running back that was on the team, he was deemed academically ineligible to start the season. So yeah, Isaiah Crowell was pretty much just thrown in there from the start of the season, and they had a top 5 matchup with Boise State to start the year, in which they lost this game 35-21. That's back when Boise had the legendary college quarterback Kellen Moore. Speaking of Kellen Moore, we need to make a video on him. But anyways, getting back on track here with Crowell, he had 15 carries for 60 yards. Not bad. Georgia starts into the year 0-1, but they have a chance to redeem themselves against 12th ranked South Carolina. They come up short in an offensive shootout, 45-42, but Crowell, he was making some noise. Of course, Georgia fans hate that they started out the season 0-2, but if you did want to look at a bright spot, you might have found your running back of the near future. In just his second collegiate game, Isaiah Crowell, against a top 15 ranked South Carolina defense, had 16 carries for $118 and 1 touchdown. 2 weeks after that, he has 147 against Ole Miss and 104 yards against Mississippi State. Georgia's winning games, Isaiah's having a really good season, but this game right here, I'm going to highlight it for you. This is where the problems they started to arise, at least on a national scale. Georgia wound up millywhopping New Mexico State 63-16. I know what you're sitting here saying, Matt, why are we talking about this game? That's a cupcake. And yes, my friend, you are 100% correct. But Isaiah Crowell was suspended for that game. Why was he suspended for the New Mexico State game? Him and some of his other teammates, they failed a drug test. There was also a lot of rumors circling that Georgia football program that Isaiah, he wasn't exactly behaving the way he should be. From everything I saw, although most of it was vague, it was never anything major. I think this is a good way to put it, and he would probably agree with this. He wasn't 100% locked in on football. He was getting distracted. Even though he got suspended against New Mexico State, some people thought, oh, well, this might hinder his success in the near future. And no, that didn't happen because in the following week against Auburn, he went off. He was the leading rusher, had 24 carries for 132 yards. All in all, he had a stellar true freshman season, and there was a lot of hype and a lot of heavy expectations on him heading into the next season. I'll show you his numbers right here. He had 185 carries for 850 yards with 5 touchdowns. It was also stated in the spring practices right after the season, heading into his sophomore season, that Mark Richt, the head coach at the time, was impressed by Crowell's work ethic in the offseason. I'll continue to read it off for you. Richt said at the time the running back is, quote-unquote, definitely growing up. Little did Mark Richt know he actually wasn't growing up and he was still doing some things he shouldn't have been doing. In late June of 2012, Isaiah Crowell, he got pulled over by the police. The reason he got pulled over is because it was a regular vehicle checkpoint on the Georgia campus, and that happens all the time. He was officially arrested at 2:20 a.m. Among the charges he faced were carrying a concealed weapon and possession of a weapon on school property. Crowell consented to a search after officers smelled Mary Jane in the vehicle. Police found a 9mm Luger pistol, I believe is how you say it. If I'm saying it wrong, I do apologize. Not familiar with that type of gun, under the driver's seat with an altered serial number. As soon as it happened, Mark Richt, he dismissed him from the team, and here's what he had to say about it. Quote unquote, "We have a dedicated and committed group of men who are working hard to prepare for the coming season. Our total focus will be directed towards the team and this effort." That's all that was said about it. Now, back then, I do remember this vaguely. You did have some people stating, and let me know in the comment section what you think about it if you do remember what went on back then, that Mark Richt, he jumped the gun. I don't mean that to be ironic, but you get what I'm trying to say here. He jumped the gun a little too early, and he should have heard out Isaiah Crowell's side of the story, in which maybe he did, but he was just really quick to make a decision to kick him off of the team or dismiss him for the program, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's like, well, dang, just like that, and our star running back, he's off the team? I'm not excusing what Isaiah Crowell did, but it's not like he was robbing a bank, he was doing something malicious. They just found a gun in his car. And also, too, my apologies, I did forget, he was smoking Mary Jane. I'll be honest with you, although I don't do that stuff, I don't think it's a huge deal, and I'll leave it at that. As long as you're not being a menace to society and you're still showing up to the practices and the workouts, I could overlook smoking some Mary Jane. But hey, that's just me. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about it? Would you kick him off, or would you have kept him on the team? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It really depends on your philosophies. For example, Nick Saban never believed in kicking players off the team because when you kick them off the team, they're just going to ruin their life even more because for a lot of these young men growing up, sports is what's keeping them out of trouble. And that's the mentality I like to have. Unless he's doing something crazy and it's getting to the point where there's no turning back, yeah, I'm going to try to give him a second chance. But, and I have a really big but, you got to remember, this wasn't Isaiah Crowell's first time messing up at Georgia. Like we talked about not too long ago, he already got suspended for one game for failing a drug test against New Mexico State. Then, to go on top of that, there was rumors circling, which aren't too hard to believe since he already got in trouble once, that he wasn't behaving the way he should have been at Georgia. This, to me, and I'm trying to view it from Mark Richt's standpoint, was the final straw. He was like, you know what, this guy's a phenomenal talent, but there's just too much trouble that comes with it. I'm done. Do I think Mark Richt made a wrong decision by kicking him off the team? Absolutely not. If that's his philosophy, that's how he wants to run his team, he's entitled to do that. It only takes one bad apple to ruin a locker room, to ruin a team, so sometimes, even if it is an outstanding player, you got to get rid of them. Here's where things get really interesting, though. According to Isaiah himself, that wasn't his gun, and he doesn't know who owned the gun or how it got in his car. I thought that was really fascinating. So he's claiming he has no knowledge of how the gun even got in the car. Whether you want to believe him or not, that's up to you. Do as you please with this information. Despite Isaiah claiming it wasn't his gun, on the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter because number one, he still got arrested, and number two, he got kicked off of the Georgia football team. And at this point in time in his story, he is pretty much looked at by all these coaches all over the country as, oh yeah, he's the typical 5-star recruit we see in every class that can't stay out of trouble. He's officially been thrown in the category as one of the biggest what-ifs you've ever seen in your life. This is crazy. Coming out of high school, everybody and their mama wanted him. He had an offer from every school. And only a couple years later, I believe only a year and a half later to be exact, nobody wanted him. Think about that. Mentally and men's mental health doesn't get talked about enough, which is a different conversation for a different day. You gotta feel like that affects you a ton. You go from the top G, the top dog, to irrelevant just like that within the snap of a finger. It's got to take a toll on you. It's got to. But wait a minute. There was one school that actually did want him. Yeah, that's right. You heard me correctly. Like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. That one school that wanted him goes by the name of Alabama State. Here's what Isaiah had to say about Alabama State offering him, and I love how much he understands how, I don't want to say lucky he got, but how fortunate he got to get a second chance. Once I went through getting kicked out of Georgia, going to jail, facing all the adversity, I just felt like when I went back to school, I got a second chance because I was good at football. I gained so much respect for him when I read that last part. I got a second chance because I was good at football. That's a man who lives in reality. He gets it and he knows. I'm an outstanding running back, I'm extremely talented, and that's why I'm getting this other opportunity. Sure, he wasn't going to be playing for a national powerhouse, a team in the Power 5, an SEC school. He's not going to have the nicest facilities, best coaches, best weight rooms, etc., etc. I could go on and on for days. I think you get the point. But that didn't matter. He's getting another chance. And he didn't screw it up. In the following season in 2012, in 11 games played, he had 842 yards with 15 touchdowns. The next year was almost a carbon copy paste. In 2013, in 10 games played, he had 874 yards with 13 touchdowns. Well, actually, hold on, going back here. I'm seeing some other websites saying in 2013, his last year at Alabama State, he had over 1,000 rushing yards, but it's not too big of a deal. You get the point. He had a good year and a good career at Alabama State. After that 2013 season for Alabama State, he declares for the NFL draft, and he was expected to be right around a 4th, 5th, to 6th round pick. Unfortunately, he goes undrafted. This is not the end of our story. If anything, it's just the beginning. The Cleveland Browns wound up giving him a call. Things worked out, and he signed with the Browns as an undrafted free agent. In his rookie season for the Browns in the year of 2014, he had 607 rushing yards with 8 touchdowns. He was easily one of the better rookie running backs in the entire class. The following year in 2015, started 9 games, had 706 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. Fast forward time into 2016, started all 16 games and had 952 rushing yards with 7 touchdowns. Heading into 2017 with a lot of expectations, he performed and lived up to them. 853 rushing yards, only had 2 touchdowns, but still was putting up good numbers. And in the year of 2018, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is where you can't help but smile for Isaiah Crowell. This is when he moved on from the Cleveland Browns and signed a 3-year deal for $12 million with the New York Jets. And I got to clap it up to him. I love that so much. I love stories like this. And the admiration I have for Isaiah Crowell is through the roof. The resiliency he showed. I know he caused some of the problems at Georgia, but that doesn't matter. We all make mistakes in his life. And he didn't play the victim mentality. He could have crumbled up in a ball and cried, felt sorry for himself. No, he continued to work hard. And look what happened. He got a $12 million contract. And I know some people are going to say, well, Matt, it's only $12 million. This quarterback's getting $500 million now. That's besides the point. $12 million, and why I'm clapping for him and why I'm so happy for him is because that's it. He beat the game of life. That's generational wealth, and he'll never have to work another day in his life if he doesn't screw it up big time. Got to throw this in there against the Denver Broncos in that season. He had a game with 219 rushing yards. Pretty good, right? Unfortunately, we do have some bad news to talk about. He did get hurt in that season for the Jets and didn't end the year on a high note, which does suck, but to tell you the truth, I think he'd probably say the same thing. I'm just happy he got paid before that injury, because we all know if he would have got hurt before they offered him that contract, no, he wouldn't have got $12 million. Not too long after, the Jets would move on from Crowell and he would sign with the Oakland Raiders, and things, they never worked out there because he continued to be on the injury reserve list. He never even played a down for the Oakland Raiders until this day. He hasn't played since the year of 2018 for the New York Jets. I know what you may be sitting there saying, well, Matt, if he hasn't played football since 2018-2019, what's he doing now? That's a great question, my friend, and I have an even better answer. He wound up going back to, listen to this, Alabama State and getting his degree, which is so, and I'm going to continue to use this word, admirable. I can't tell you guys enough how much respect I have for Isaiah. It's through the roof because most people, you get all that money in the NFL, there is no reason and no incentive to go back to college and do that. But he did it, man, and if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. To go on top of all of that, he is very involved in his kid's life. If you want to see more of that, you can go to his Instagram and check it out for yourself. He has a football camp he hosts every single year, and I'll show you what he had to say about it. 8th annual Isaiah Crowell football camp was a success. First, I want to thank God for allowing this to be possible. I appreciate everyone's support, down from the kids and the parents to the sponsors. This is sensitive to me because growing up, we didn't have this experience without having to pay. And it's hard to believe or see certain things when it's out of sight. Let's build up our communities and invest in the youth so that we can watch them grow to be better than we ever could have. Can't tell you enough how amazing that is. From going off of what he said here, it seems like he hosts this camp and he pays for it so the kids don't have to worry about that. Or not pays for it himself, but it's his camp, so he just takes care of all the costs. You get what I'm trying to say. Outside of that, there's not too much to be said. He seems like a simple man who enjoys his life, and he's also enjoying retirement, rightfully so. Although I don't know him personally, from everything I've seen, seems like a good overall dude. Anybody that's going out of their way to host a youth football camp, make sure all the costs is covered. Then, as you can see right here, he also has a Feed the Hungry movement where he's passing out food. This is on his time. He's not doing this for himself. Yeah, you're a good person, at least in my eyes. I love seeing people who realize, hey, I've been blessed, so let me use some of my blessings and help others out. And I'll tell you what, I think a main reason he has turned out the way he has is because of what happened at Georgia. I think it humbled him a lot, and once Alabama State took a chance on him, and the Browns, they even took a chance on him as an undrafted free agent, he remembered all those things. He remembered at one point in time, somebody gave me an opportunity when they didn't have to. This guy's most certainly a winner in my books. He's a winner at the game of life, and we don't even have to sit up here and talk about why things didn't work out, because they did. He made bukus of money, and he played in the NFL. To Isaiah Crowell, if you're somehow seeing this video, my brother, wish him best of luck. Hope you continue to see a lot of success in your life and anything and everything you want to do. I'm curious, though. Let me know your thoughts and all this down below. But Roman,